Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Eveling. It's June 5th. Is your garden new to you this year? Recently at a garden center, I ran into a woman who had just moved. She was tentatively buying just a few plants, curious to see what would work in her new space. Even little moves can be big moves when it comes to a new garden. Just as with the interior spaces, figuring out what you want to do with your garden takes time. Remember, it's a garden. There's no rush. Here's today's Brevities. It's the anniversary of the death of the botanist and Scottish explorer Sir John Richardson, who died on this day in 1865. Richardson explored with his friend John Franklin. Their first expedition to the northern coast of Canada was disastrous. After they were shipwrecked, the men split into groups, attempting to get back to civilization. Richardson's group was forced to survive by eating lichen from rocks and even the leather of their boots. Richardson and others found one of the men named Terohaute standing over a dead body. Terohaute claimed the other man had accidentally shot himself, but Richardson didn't buy it, especially after examining the man. He'd been shot in the back of the head. Even worse, the men believed that Terohaute had resorted to cannibalization to help keep them alive. Convinced Terohaute was about to kill the rest of the group, Richardson shot Terohaute dead. As his biographer David Stewart said, "It's not every day we meet in one person, surgeon, sailor, soldier, naturalist, author, and scholar, who has been eminent in some roles and commendable in all." It's the birthday of the British civil servant Allan Octavian Hume, born on this day in 1829. Hume had worked in India for more than 3 decades. In his late 20s, he began to accumulate materials for his dream, a masterwork on the birds of the Indian Empire. Hume recorded decades of data and interviews in his home called Rothney Castle in Shimla. When Hume was 55, he had left Shimla only to return in the spring to find it ransacked by a disaffected servant who stole and destroyed all of his written work. There would be no master book by Hume. Heartbroken, Hume offered his entire collection of over 82,000 birds and eggs to the Natural History Museum in London. Hume returned to England as well. For the remainder of his life, he found solace and purpose in the garden. As with his birds, Hume was a fanatical collector. In the months before he died in 1910, Hume finalized plans to transfer his botanical library and his impressive herbarium to his lasting legacy, the South London Botanical Institute. And today, June 5th, is World Environment Day. One of India's most famous living environmentalists is 107 years old this year. Her name is Saalu Timaka. When she was a young girl, she married a local herdsman. At the age of 40, she realized they would never have children, and she wanted to die. But then Timaka and her husband came up with their own way of adding life to the world. They began to plant banyan trees. Timaka and her husband cared for the trees by personally carrying water to them after working all day in the fields. It was a big job. They had 384 trees to care for, planted along a 4-kilometer stretch of highway. In India, Timaka has another name. She's known as the Mother of Trees. In unearthed words, the poet Alice Mackenzie Swaim was born today in 1911. Although she moved to America and settled in Pennsylvania, she was born and raised in Scotland. And she wrote, "My soul still returns like a bird to its nest, to those distant islands." When her children were little, Swaim experienced periods of sickness. Writing poetry became a balm for her. She's best known for this verse: "Courage is not the towering oak that sees storms come and go. It's the fragile blossom that opens in the snow." And here are a few of her poems. This one's called "For My Remembering." I need no rosemary nor rue for my remembering, no faded flower, no lock of hair, not even spring. When all the wind is your sweet voice, and all the rain your tears, there's no way of forgetting immortal, radiant years. Finally, here's a haiku she wrote that won the 1994 Henderson Memorial Award. Old garden chair, sagging with the weight of a single leaf. Today's book recommendation is The Gardener's Bed Book, short and long pieces to be read in bed by those who love green growing things, by Richardson Wright. This book is a compilation of 365 little essays. One word to sum it up: charming. You can click on the link in the show notes to purchase the book on Amazon, and you can get used copies for 99 cents. I kid you not. And here's today's garden chore. Prune your spring flowering shrubs like forsythia and lilac when they are done blooming. Remove a third of the branches to the base of the plant, then prune to shape the rest. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. When I was researching Richardson, I learned that on the last day of May in 1865, just days before he died, he and his family went to visit some old friends. There was a standing joke that Sir John never left their garden empty-handed, and that evening he carried off a plant of forget-me-not. When he got home, he placed it in his favorite border. Richardson is buried at Grasmere Cemetery near the poet William Wordsworth. One of the verses of scripture inserted on his tombstone is from the 27th Psalm. During times of great duress on his expeditions with Franklin, sometimes when they were starving, facing certain death, when they were too weak to even hold a Bible in their hands, Richardson and Franklin repeated this psalm to each other. And this was Richardson's favorite verse. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.